imagine me on the flip side, really trying to get this argument across that my shirt is really white, or this is really who I am as a person, and you don't want to take off those sunglasses, not even once, right? And you're actively trying, we're getting into part 2 at this point, but you're actively trying to misunderstand me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like how much longer am I going to go through this pattern of constantly trying to be like, yo, listen, like, this is the case, or like, this is why I said what I said, this is what I meant by what I said. And you're just like, nope, and just...
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome back to QR Coded. I kind of forgot how to do this. I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel.
And this is QR Coded.
Yes, it is.
We are QR Coded. We were talking about how long it has been, but it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
It just feels like we've lived a whole lot of life since we last sat down and recorded. But nonetheless, we are very happy to have you back again. As always, we are thankful, grateful, and just glad to have you here listening to us, hanging out with us, having a cozy convo with your 2 big sisters or younger sisters. Some of you are older than us. Happy to have you all back. We're back again with a more traditional episode. Last week, if you missed it, last episode, if you missed it, we reacted to and responded to all of your favorite quotes. So if you don't want to miss anything like that again, please follow us on social media at QR Coded, across the board on all socials like Instagram, YouTube. That's it. But that's where you'll catch everything, any announcements. So stay tuned, follow us. Speaking of living a whole lot of life, what's been going on with you? Any new updates?
Yeah, we actually do have a few updates to share with you guys today, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Today was my last day of the quarter and last day of courses period.
Celebration time.
Yeah. Literally just, yes. Like, take a moment of silence. I'm done with school, you guys.
Amen.
Can you even believe? Because
you're done with a traditional classroom setting, taking traditional exams, like studying for exams. That's nice.
No more learning in a classroom setting. I start rotations, and then that's for a whole year, and then I graduate next year in May.
Wow.
So I'm just ready for this new season. I'm still going to be learning. I'm still going to have assignments and stuff like that to do, kind of, but in a different way.
If anything, this is the most important part of your process.
Yeah.
I remember when you were just starting, it literally feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah, me hyperventilating,
yes,
crying, how am I going to do this? How am I going to balance this out? How am I going to succeed? Just so much doubt.
She just got an A on her exam.
Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, but toot. But also positive.
Speaking of exams,
notes and congratulations are in order for Queen.
Thank you. While you are wrapping up, I am just now starting. Yeah. What am I doing to myself? I was like, I am tired of only assigning and grading essays. Let me go back to writing my own. So I this morning I was accepted into my master's program. I will be getting my master's in curriculum and instruction to become a pro teacher. And I'm excited. I'm starting in the fall. It'll be a fully online program because I work full time and then some. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm really excited to just apply my learning to my practice and continue to learn. I mean, as a teacher, I am a forever student, and I've always had this desire to get my master's. I always knew I was going to do it, but I just didn't know when was the right time. And my career started off not traditionally how I thought it would, because it was coming off of quarantine and COVID, and I taught 75% of my first year remote. I taught to a screen my first year of teaching. And so I had to kind of adjust. And I was ready. And I was like, if not now, then when? And I was like, I'm going to follow through with this goal I had set for myself. And here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, nervous, but I think it'll be great. What else? I chopped off half of my hair.
Sure did.
In true queen fashion.
Yeah. Raquel could never.
Yeah. Before I cut it, we were sitting on my couch and she's like,
are you sure?
She was looking, we had taken pictures earlier that day. And she was like, look at your hair. Are you sure you want to cut it? I was like, yes. Like, I like the long hair, but this is just more me. And I feel more like myself and like ready for summer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It makes sense for you.
And you walked in and you're like, yeah, this is you. This is
yeah,
you.
Yeah, it is.
This is queen.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, ouch. I cut my hair and I just hurt myself, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then summer is approaching. 2 more weeks.
I just hope it stays warm because like Chicago right now is just.
Some of my kids today were telling me that it's supposed to hit like 88 next week.
Okay, good.
Which is
like finally
nice.
So annoying,
but also like, ew.
No.
It's gonna be humid.
Yeah, but like it's better than 40, 50 degree.
It's been getting really cold in the evenings.
Yeah, we don't want that.
But yeah.
As we were sharing our updates, we were kind of just talking about how we're always preaching about like different timelines, and we're always talking about trusting the timeline of your life and stuff. And like, look at us, like we're on different timelines.
Yeah, it's crazy so because cool it's always been like, yeah, I'm 2 years older. I'm kind of 2 years ahead in school, and now like the table has turned. Like, and you're about to you're gonna get your like doctor of pharmacy like in a year, while a year from now I'll be only halfway through my graduate program, which is wild. And it's just this goes to show that like age and like one's timeline are so different. And like your path is different than my path, and like my steps to get to where I want to get to and your steps to get where you want to get to are not going to look the same. And I think it's an awesome thing to have like people on your team along the way. And just surround yourself with people who cheer you on, even if you're on different steps in the staircase of life.
Yes.
But should we get into the quote now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, I got a little sentimental for a second.
It's okay.
It's what we do here. I think it's like part of that's our thing.
Yes.
Our quote for today was not within the topic that we originally thought we were going to discuss. Like we sat down about a month ago now and like planned out, the summer episodes. And we kind of had a different idea as to where we wanted to take this episode, but Raquel stumbled upon a quote last week, 2 weeks ago now, and sent it to me on Instagram with like the side-eye emoji. And then
in true Raquel fashion,
side-eye. That's been my classroom management technique recently. Just end of year things. They called me out. They're like, she's giving you side eye. I was like, yep
yes, I am.
So like follow directions.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like why you like this?
Yeah. As she said, I just kind of found it on Instagram. I read it and I was like, wow, this sounds so nice. Sounds so relatable to my life currently. And I feel like I can have a good conversation talking about this.
Yeah.
Can give some good points across. And it's just, I read it and I was like, yes, I agree. So I want to share this with everyone else. Yeah.
And for me, as someone who's like day-to-day mission is to get people to understand, I saw this and I was like, ooh, just let people misunderstand. Like, my job is to get people to understand things.
Yeah.
And so I think like it took me a second and I was like, okay, but wait. This is cool. And like, I'm ready to unpack this, which is what we're going to do here.
Yes. Take it away.
I still haven't read the quote. Wow. Sorry about that. Here we go. My life became so much simpler when I decided to just let people misunderstand me. One more time. My life became so much simpler when I decided to just let people misunderstand me. Very relatable. As we were kind of like chatting about the plan for this episode, we decided to split the conversation up into 3 parts. The parts are: part 1, what it looks like and feels like when you are constantly working to get people to understand you. Part 2, realizing that some people are just actively trying to misunderstand you, and that hurts. And part 3, freedom that comes with letting those people just misunderstand you. So you want to take it away with part 1?
Yep, let's start with part 1. So what does it really look like and what does it feel like when you are constantly working to get people to understand you? I'll start off by prefacing, I guess, our whole conversation and just say that everything that we share and every quote that we present, of course, situational, and it's always up to you guys as the viewers and listeners, how you want to take it and how you want to apply it to your own life, and in what context you want to use our insight.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's what's cool about this, and that's why like we enjoy this so much, is when we hear how you all internalize the things we say. It's cool to see how it differs. Based on kind of like what you're looking for and what you're going through and how you can apply it.
Yeah. And ultimately, we just like to have a certain structure to our episodes. So sometimes we kind of focus in on one kind of aspect of the quote, but of course it can be applied to other scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people will be like, oh, I kind of wish you mentioned something like this instead,
or
you know?
But romantic relationships or focus more on friendships. And it's like, okay, ideally you'd be able to like kind of take it and apply
that
it
to those aspects.
And when you can't, maybe it'll come in a different episode.
Exactly.
Or, you know,
yeah. So going back to part 1, what does it look like and feel like when I'm constantly working for someone to understand me, right? It could be physically and emotionally exhausting. You know, you kind of feel counterproductive having to re-explain yourself or completely filter your words so you don't come off a certain way or completely change the way that you act, just so simply someone can understand what you're saying. And of course, like I said earlier, it's situational. Like obviously when I'm giving someone directions on how to complete something, I don't want them to misunderstand me. So I'm going to work a little harder to make sure that the points I'm getting across come off that way. You understand and you complete the task that you need to do and you do it, you know? But when it comes up to different, certain things, there we go. My thoughts are getting jumbled, sorry. When it comes to certain conversations, sometimes you kind of just have to maybe agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And then if you don't do that, that's when arguments kind of happen. That's when feelings get hurt. You kind of have this disconnect between you and that other person. And it just feels like isolating almost to not be understood in that regard.
It's almost like the difference between like I think you're getting at people misunderstanding. Maybe you're asking them to complete some type of task. It's a very like cut and dry thing versus like people misunderstanding you like at your core, who you are, and constantly working to get people to understand you and understand who you are is what is emotionally and mentally draining, which then leads to physical exhaustion too. Like it literally starts to be a painful experience. When your actions and your communication is being misunderstood, you're not being heard, you're not being seen the way you intend to be, and people will view your actions and hear you through a filter of their own needs. It is inevitable. It really is about like, what do I want to hear from you? What do I want to take away from what you're putting out into the world? That's how that's my concept of you. And that's where misunderstanding comes into play.
It can lead to these arguments too. Like, what do we hear when we talk about someone going through something between them and another person, some sort of like separation happening? Mm-hmm. It's almost always because of a misunderstanding, right? We've heard this before. And if you think about having like open communication and really just trying to figure out like what went wrong, or like why am I not understanding things the way that you are projecting them off to me, it could make or break the whole vibe moving forward. Whereas if you just constantly have this filter up where you're just looking at or just gaining what you want through that filter, you're disregarding the person as a whole.
I saw an example that kind of allowed me to kind of visualize it, which is always nice. And so it was about you wearing a white shirt, and you are very conveniently wearing a white shirt.
Sure.
Now it's a little bit
beige, yellow,
off-white. It's ivory.
Okay.
But like we're gonna call it white.
Yeah.
Okay. And pretend I have glasses on, sunglasses, tinted sunglasses. Okay. And you are wearing this white shirt, and it is white. It is undeniably white. The truth is that it is a white shirt, and you know that that is the truth, and you are communicating to me that that is the truth.
White shirt.
That is a white shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no denying it. It's ivory, but like we're pretending it's white.
Yeah.
Now I'm wearing these sunglasses that are rose tinted or whatever color. They're tinted. So when I have my sunglasses on, I'm choosing to view your shirt with this filter on. So your shirt is not white. Your shirt is whatever color my lenses are. And if I am always looking at your shirt with my lenses on, because that's just how I want to see your shirt, I will never truly understand the truth that your shirt is white.
Yeah.
And that's upsetting to know that like I could be actively doing that.
Yeah.
And that there are people who are actively just misunderstanding you.
Imagine me on the flip side, really trying to get this argument across that my shirt is really white, or this is really who I am as a person, and you don't want to take off those sunglasses, not even once, right? And you're actively trying, we're getting into part 2 at this point, but you're actively trying to misunderstand me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like how much longer am I going to go through this pattern of constantly trying to be like, yo, listen, like this is the case, or like, this is why I said what I said. This is what I meant by what I said. And you're just like, nope, and just choosing to keep those sunglasses.
This is what I want to see.
Yeah,
because
and that's it.
I put these glasses on.
And
I chose it.
And imagine like me constantly making this argument, right? How exhausting, how draining, and just it gets to a point where just like,
you're
fed up.
Like, keep your glasses on.
Yeah, and figure it out.
My shirt is white.
Yeah.
I'm done. Misunderstand.
Yeah.
And that leads us to part 2, which is realizing that some people are just actively trying to misunderstand you. Ouch, right?
Yeah. This takes a long time to realize, and you realize that in certain situations at different points of your life. It's not just like you realize it once and that's it. You're always going to know it. I think it's situational, of course, again. And there are times where you choose to accept that this person is never going to take off those sunglasses.
Yeah.
You're going to accept the fact that they're just always going to see you this way. Or there are other times where you're just like, no, like, I don't want this person to see me that way. Like, this is something that's worth putting my time, investing my emotions into, and like really pouring my heart out into. And then that's where you're kind of picking and choosing, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm also kind of just relating this to people who are in like a group setting.
Yeah.
Or
like a collaborative
like team.
Yeah.
Or even like between like you and a boss, like someone with like an authoritative position, someone who has to kind of make those authoritative decisions. And, you know, getting to those decisions, all members of the team might not see eye to eye.
No, it's never going to be the case.
No, and that's fine. But ultimately, like, you need to look at like the bigger picture in that scenario, but also just kind of not blur the line between who this person is as a person and them being this authoritative figure as well, because the lines could get blurred. And if you're just gonna misunderstand their point that they're addressing to you in a conference call or a meeting or something of some sort, and then you're just gonna automatically assume that this is how they are as a person and they're this and that leads to this negative relationship moving forward.
Yeah.
It's not productive. You're not gonna be able to really understand anything that they say in the future, because you're just gonna look at them through this lens or filter you've created of them being this way.
And anyone who's ever been in any type of position of leadership or like authority knows, like, you'll be damned if you do and you'll be damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And people will always just understand what they want to understand about you. People will want to see what they want to see. And it can become really draining from the perspective of the leader or the person in charge. And so, like, it eventually you'll decide that, you know, something is just not worth your time or emotions, like actively working on having one understand.
Yeah. Like, you did your part. You know that you've done everything that you could to fight that battle, and you fought it to the best of your ability. But if that person is just going to choose to turn the cheek and do whatever they want and think however they want and not understand you, that is wholeheartedly on them.
Yeah. This just kind of ultimately comes down to putting in the work to understanding people. Everyone wants to be understood. If we go back to like our episode on rejection, we were talking about like how we all just have this natural want and need and desire to be accepted, to be understood. Everyone wants to just be understood without having to work and put in the work to understand others. Yeah. And that's the issue. That's like the root of the issue. So I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, what does it mean to put in the work? What if, like, and sometimes maybe we all need a reminder, right? If we're so quick to, I'm just going to no, your shirt, it's not white. I'm sorry, right? I have this filter on. Your shirt's not white. What can I do to understand, right? We also have all been in situations where maybe someone has communicated something a certain way. We all know sometimes that intent is not always
to offend,
communicated properly, right? Like, my intent isn't going to be communicated the way I wanted it to be. Sometimes, right? Sometimes intent is good, but like from the receiving end, you won't know that my intentions were good with what I'm communicating. So there is nothing wrong with asking people to re-explain themselves. What do you mean your shirt is white? Because I see something different. Yeah. Why did you communicate
that way?
This ask in a certain way? Why was your tone of voice that way? Ask what they mean when they said what they said. Another thing is simply just being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, empathize, understand that, well, maybe what they said, maybe it was uncalled for, but I wonder where it stemmed from. Maybe they're going through something. Try to understand. And that can go hand in hand as asking and understanding. And then, you know, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, as you said earlier. But the key thing is there's a respectful way to do it, and there's a completely harmful, toxic, disrespectful way to do it. But agree to disagree works sometimes. And so I think, like, that's kind of, when I was thinking about it, like, these are the main ways we can put in work to understand. But on the opposite end, you have done your part. Like, your shirt is white. That is the truth. That is your truth. And so the work has to come from the other person, which isn't always done, and that's why there are misunderstandings.
I mean, what you want to do with that is ultimately up to you at the end of the day, but imagine the difference of someone approaching you and saying, I didn't understand why you came off the way, or can you explain to me why you said what you said the way that you did?
And people, okay, we both have been in positions of leadership.
Yeah.
How good does it feel when someone comes up to you and asks you, well, wait, why did you say that way? Was this like, this is how I understood it. Like, can you clarify this for me?
I would 1,000,000% prefer that.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a nasty message or a phone call or conversation face to face saying that I don't like the way that you said this and I was very blah 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 about
or actions that just stem from their dislike towards
this like very negative energy. I would much rather you just simply be like, wait, I don't understand, and can you just like re-explain because it kind of offended me and I was a little upset about it. Like, be honest, that's fine, but completely change your approach because that's gonna change my approach moving forward as well. Like, I'm gonna try to work really harder now to have you understand me. Whereas if you had approached me the first time in that more negative mood, I would be like, all right, like, this is not worth my time and emotion, and I don't want to give you any more than that,
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, what a person's intentions are, what a situation is, and what's worth it and what's not. But
I think I need to have a conversation with someone and ask them about their intentions. Because
yeah, you do.
I was like,
I
don't know. And this was just something that I was thinking about today. And so I do think that, like, it is so easy to just misunderstand.
Yeah, but you don't want to go in cycles with that individual.
Yeah, no. So you need to right be now, mindful. I'm just going to squash it and say, hey, why did you say what you said? Yeah. Why did you mean? What did you mean? Why did you say it that way? Who were you directing that towards? I like literally do need to ask some of those questions
after this episode. We will handle that.
But yeah, so that was part
3.
2. Yeah. Moving on to part 3.
Yeah. Ending it off with the sense of freedom that comes off when you let those people misunderstand you. There's no more fighting for that understanding. There's no more arguments. There's no hurt feelings. It's just that agree to disagree, and you're not going to take off those sunglasses. You're not going to remove that filter. That is fine. That is, yes. Please enjoy. You're no longer trapped in the cycle of trying to get someone to understand you or see you the way that they want
to see you.
Yeah.
This is me. This is who I am. Like, I have put that out there.
Yeah.
You do with it what you will. Yeah. Keep those glasses on.
Because the people that see me for me and not for the way that they want me to be are still in my life.
Yeah.
And they don't cause like this physical, like literal physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
Like this feeling of like tightness in your chest. Like sometimes actual tears.
Yeah.
I'm a crier, so actual tears, and just like anger. Like the people who understand me for me and see me for me never ever make me feel that way. Whereas the people who don't
and just see you the way they want to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I think one thing to keep in mind is, like, this is not one day I am working to get people to understand me and then the next day I'm done and like I've let go. I'm free. I'm not restricted by people's conceptions of me or ideas of me. It's ongoing and it's situational. It just kind of depends on who the person is, what the situation is. But ultimately, like, when you are authentically yourself and someone chooses to understand you through a filter of their own need, that's the most important thing there. It's like, it's based on their own need. As long as you know you can still go to bed at night knowing that you are undeniably you know what's in your heart. God knows what's in your heart.
Amen.
Their misunderstanding isn't a reflection of you because you know who you are. You know what you put out there. They choose to just look at you
that way. That's it.
In the way they want to look at you. That's on them. It's not a reflection of you. You didn't present yourself through this hypothetical filter. So them wanting to view you through their own filter, That's their issue. Mm-hmm. It's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
I got worked up there for a second.
That was fire.
I'm going to play devil's advocate to like wrap us up.
Okay.
When you are
letting people
mm-hmm. misunderstand you, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Just allowing them like, fine, misunderstand me. Mm-hmm. Does it mean you're giving up?
It could appear that way.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, no. Mm-hmm. Because I love myself.
Good.
Yes, and I value my time and my emotions and my energy, and I hope that everybody does in some regard, you know, but
or you're working towards that.
Yeah, you're working towards that. And ultimately, like you know, like we've been saying, it's situational. So when you know that something is worth that time and that investment, you're gonna put in the work for it. Yeah, you're not gonna give up. Mm-hmm. I don't like the term giving up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's.
And I know you're just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. I agree that it's not giving up, and if anything, it is like quite literally the opposite.
Yeah, it's literally like this empowering feeling of putting your foot down and saying, no, this is a reflection of them. Yeah. I've done my part. I've said what I've said. I've fought this battle. I'm protecting my peace now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let you misunderstand me, and I'm going to carry on with my life and focus on those others who actually do understand me for me. Mm-hmm. And work well with me.
Yeah. Or those who might not understand me all the time, but can communicate.
Yeah, and still try to at least.
Try to. Yeah. And remain respectful throughout the process. Mm-hmm. Because I've misunderstood people before. But when you really want to understand, you will put in the work.
You'll put in the work for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of wraps it all up.
Yeah, let's read the quote one more time.
Take it away.
My life became so much simpler when I decided to just let people misunderstand me.
Snaps. I'm snapping.
We thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening, and watching. As always, we are so happy to be here, and we hope that you stick around. As always, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and follow us at QR Coded on Instagram to stay up to date and in tune with how you guys can always stay involved in our episodes in the future, because those are always some of our most favorites to film, the ones that you guys are all involved in. So, trust your timeline, protect your peace, let some people misunderstand you. It'll be okay.
Yeah, you do you.
Yes.
As always, I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel.
And this is
QR Coded.